Welcome to Flekar and Inspire. If you've been with us before, you already know this channel is about truth, tension, and the untold side of the story, the places the mainstream won't go. We dive into the people they write off as footnotes. We give them chapters, because behind every breaking headline, there's a deeper core and a human, raw, and real. And today's story, it's not just dramatic, it's jaw-dropping. Let's take you into a courtroom in Washington, D.C. In the year 2025, the atmosphere was tense, electric. No one expected the hearing to go viral. No one imagined a moment that would spin the legal world, political insiders, and media commentators into total shock. It involved two prominent women. On one side, Judge Amy Berman Jackson, a seasoned federal judge known for her firm courtroom control and sharp rulings. On the other side, Pam Bondi, a former Florida attorney general, political advocate, and a controversial public figure in her own right. And what unfolded that day was the kind of confrontation that doesn't just stay in the courtroom, it explodes beyond it. The day started like any other scheduled hearing. Bondi was expected to appear in relation to an ongoing legal matter tied to lobbying disclosures and alleged FARA violations. It was supposed to be procedural, just a formality, but something shifted in the courtroom atmosphere when Judge Jackson took her seat. She didn't start with a greeting. She didn't smile. She launched straight into it. "Miss Bondi," she said, voice cold and clear, "you have been given multiple opportunities to comply with federal requests. This court does not exist to accommodate public figures who believe they're above the law." Bondi looked stunned. Her legal team glanced at each other. Murmurs rose from the gallery, and then, without any visible warning or build-up, Judge Jackson made a move that turned a routine hearing into a national event. "I am prepared," she continued, "to hold you in contempt of court, and if necessary remand you into custody today." Gasps echoed through the courtroom. Reporters in the back rows scrambled to send texts, flip on voice recorders. You could feel the room change. In a single sentence, Jackson had transformed this moment from a hearing to a showdown. Bondi stood. She didn't raise her voice, but her words were sharp. "Your Honor, I have cooperated in full. What you are doing is not justice, it's performance." Jackson snapped back. "You do not decide what justice is in my courtroom." But here's the twist. Just as it seemed Judge Jackson was about to issue a stunning bench warrant, something in her demeanor changed. Witnesses later described it as a full pause, almost as if she realized the magnitude of what she was about to do. And then, in a complete reversal, she leaned back in her chair and said, "The court will suspend this decision for now. We will revisit this at a later time. This hearing is adjourned." No contempt ruling, no arrest, just sudden silence, then confusion, then chaos. Pam Bondi's legal team exhaled. Her face, visibly red with tension just moments earlier, softened. Her attorneys quickly gathered her belongings and exited without a word. Reporters rushed out, phones already dialing, and what followed outside that courtroom was nothing short of explosive. The media coverage erupted within minutes. Clips of the moment, though limited since federal courtrooms restrict cameras, were recreated by commentators, animated breakdowns, and dramatic reenactments on news shows. Social media, on fire. Some praised Judge Jackson for drawing a hard line on accountability. Others slammed her for what they saw as a theatrical bluff, one she wasn't willing to follow through. So the big question of what really happened in that courtroom. Why did a federal judge come within inches of jailing a former attorney general, only to pull back? Sources close to the case later leaked that Judge Jackson had received internal pressure in the days leading up to the hearing. Not political pressure, but warnings from within the judiciary that the Bondi case, already a lightning rod of media attention, could destabilize confidence in the court if handled too aggressively. One insider said, "She was walking a tightrope. She believes in the rule of law, but she also knows how easily a move like that can be spun into a political circus." She had to ask herself, is it justice, or is it fuel to the fire? Bondi's team, meanwhile, was quick to spin the moment in her favor. Her public statement later that afternoon was bold and confident. "Today," she said, standing outside the courthouse with reporters swarming around her, "we saw an attempt to weaponize the courtroom, but we also saw that truth still matters. I will not be intimidated. I have followed the law. I have told the truth, and I will not be silenced by those who want to make a name off my back." Her supporters hailed her as a fighter. Her critics accused her of dodging responsibility once again. But one thing was clear. This wasn't over. The legal process was still in motion. The hearing was only postponed, not cancelled. And now, all eyes were on the next steps. Judge Jackson remained silent publicly. No comments to reporters, no statements released. But within the legal community, her moment of reversal triggered fierce debate. Was she using the threat of jail as leverage? Was it a strategic move to force Bondi into further compliance? Or did she have a genuine change of heart? Some legal analysts suggested Jackson was sending a signal not just to Bondi, but to every public figure who thinks they can maneuver around the justice system. A kind of judicial warning shot, not an arrest, but a message: we're watching, we're ready. Don't test the limits. But others weren't convinced. Civil liberties groups questioned the use of courtroom threats as tools of intimidation, even if justified. "We must be cautious," one group said in a statement, "when the power of the bench begins to resemble the politics of a press conference." Meanwhile, political circles were buzzing. Bondi, long a fixture in conservative politics, was now back in the headline as a not for campaigning, not for advocacy, but for potentially standing trial. Her defenders claimed this was all a witch hunt, a continuation of what they called a political vendetta against anyone associated with previous administrations. Her critics pointed to a pattern of dodging accountability, of using charm and influence to sidestep real consequences, and still, in the center of it all, stood Amy Berman Jackson, a judicial veteran, media lightning rod, and a figure many now see as one of the most consequential judges of the current era. What comes next could define careers. Legal filings are expected. Bondi's team may push for dismissal. Jackson could reschedule the contempt hearing at any time. The Department of Justice, which had quietly stayed in the background, may step in more publicly. But more than just legal fallout. This moment exposed something deeper: the fragile balance between law and politics in modern America. When public figures step into courtrooms, do they bring their power with them, or does the courtroom strip that away? And when judges speak from the bench, are they always speaking from the voix, or sometimes, just sometimes, from fear? Flekar and Inspire was created for moments like these, not just to repeat what the news says but to ask what that means, to look beyond the headlines and into the choices people make when the pressure rises. Because the truth, it's not always clean, it's not always perfect, but it always matters. Pam Bondi may have walked out of that courtroom free that day, but the weight of that moment, the way Judge Jackson's voice cracked slightly when she paused, the way Bondi's expression turned from shock to strategy, that stays. It tells us that even in the highest halls of justice, power plays out like a storm, and sometimes, a step back speaks louder than an order shouted. As for what happens when this case returns to court, that remains uncertain. Will Jackson follow through next time? Will Bondi keep playing offense? Or will both sides settle into a cold, strategic silence until the next explosive moment? You'll hear it all here, because Flekar and Inspire isn't just another channel, it's where reality and reflection collide, where the most powerful stories get a voice that won't blink. Stay tuned, subscribe, and if you found this story as intense and thought-provoking as we did, share it with someone who believes in truth, especially the uncomfortable kind. Because moments like this don't just belong to the courtroom, they belong to all of us.